They say selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles. What is the issue? Because it's an ego deflator. All of it is about ego deflation because it's going to step 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all.
Welcome to Aloha Speaks, home of Malama Aloha Pono with Alexander Noman.
Aloha, Alex here. And something tells me my notes, my minimal notes, aren't even going to help me today. The topic being fixable versus curable. And in parentheses, I have sober versus abstinent. I'm feeling so fortunate with being inflicted with so many different versions of addictions that are all in check, and yet realizing none of them are curable. And even though it's later in my notes, I'm going to go for this Miguel Ruiz. One of his 4 agreements is impeccable with my words, and the cure when it comes to addiction and my drug of choice being alcohol, so using that one would be, the cure would be I can use it normally, have a drink or two, and suffer 0 repercussions. That would be the formal definition of a cure. Not going to happen. It requires, for me, total abstinence. So, does that mean abstinence is a cure? It's been a little over 13 years since my last drink. Well, there, I'm cured. No. Does that mean that there's a fix? No. Wait a second, but it is fixed. Wrong answer. Because it's not about, come to find out, it's not about the drink, nor is it about the drug, nor is it about the gambling, nor is it about the cigarettes or the sugar or the overeating of food or the sex or the relationship addiction, the codependency, or on and on. It's not that's why I can use AA to address all of them, because it's about, okay, that's where I'm going with this. Because I could say, well, they say selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles. I wasn't going to go there, but what is the issue? Because I don't even know where this came from. I use this quote, pain is the touchstone of all spiritual growth, is what people say. The quote in the 12 and 12, in the step 10 of the 12 and 12 book in Alcoholics Anonymous, says pain is the touchstone of all spiritual progress, is the word. Because in the big book, in the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it says we claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection, on page 59 or 60. I think it's page 60, the top of page 60, in how it works. So, my issue with being impeccable with my words is it's a crock. That whole thing, for me, I'll speak for myself, if I were going to say something, because I don't even, this word spiritual to me is in the same category these days as religion, because it's so concepts. I do not do well with concepts. It keeps me in my head when I do much better in that simple place in my heart. That's where I need, that's where reality resides, where feeling. I need to be in touch with my heart, which is not up here. It's somewhere else. So, if I were to say about pain and acknowledge something about pain, I might say pain does inspire growth. It does inspire progress. It can. It can. I'll say it can. I won't even say it does. I'll say that it can inspire growth or progress for me. But I'm not going to highlight it and put it on such a pedestal for me. Say, oh, spiritual. Because the reason it's taking such an elevated position is because in that program, I'm not trying to badmouth the program, but I'm saying it's almost like it's taking the position of the fix, like the spiritual, and people can interpret that as religious. Whatever they want to do, that's fine. I'm saying for me, after doing the work for all these years, consistently, it's step 4 that is resisted the most, which is made a searching and fearless moral inventory. That's where the brakes go on. Let's not go there. Is that painful? The mind says, yep, that's painful. It's not. I've done so many inventories. There is no pain. The mind, the ego, is saying, oh, that's going to be painful. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, and not do it. And then there is no progress, for sure. And then that step 4 goes into step 5, which is sharing it with someone else. It says, share it with God, myself, and another human being. It's about the sharing with another human being. Of course, it happens if someone's about God, and it's the human being, because it's an ego deflator. All of it is about ego deflation. So, and then it goes to step 6 and 7 about character defects, and that's all an opportunity for questioning for me. I won't even go there, because it's going to step 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. That's a huge step when it's done with consciousness. And then that step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. That's a tricky part of it, but the amends took me 9 years. Painful? 0 pain. Commitment? Yes. Something that I'd never done before. And dedication? Yes. We call it trudging the road of happy destiny. What does trudge mean? Walking with purpose. Purpose, 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 purpose. And it took a long time. It's called righting my wrongs. I had to first admit my wrongs. Huge ego deflator. Right my wrongs. Huge ego deflator. Step 9 goes directly to step 10. What is this pain is the touchstone of all the spiritual practices doing in step 10? If anything, it would be addressing step 11, but it's in step 10. Not my step 10, because it's the easier, softer way to go, yeah, well, let's pray, let's pray, let's pray. My prayer, if I have any, is thank you. It has gone only to thank you, because it's all a gift. My progress is daily, and it might not be every day, but it is when it says in step 10 in the 12 and 12, every time I am disturbed. And it's funny, it starts out, it's a spiritual axiom, comma, spiritual axiom. It's true for me. Every time I am disturbed, comma, no matter what the cause, comma, this is on page 90, there is something wrong with me. That is true. So for me to find what that is that's wrong with me because I'm disturbed, that's when I do the step 10 to ask those questions on page 67 in the Alcoholics Anonymous book, which is broken down into 4 separate questions in segment 3 of Malama Aloha Pono. Where am I selfish? Where am I being selfish? Because I'm disturbed, upset, angry, annoyed, whatever is knocking me out of my sense of peace. Where am I being dishonest? Where am I being self-seeking, which is the pride? Where am I being frightened? Fear. Write the answer to all 4 questions down, and I'm ready to write the answer to the 5th question. Where am I to blame for this disturbance? Because it's usually I'm blaming someone else or something else for it. Of course I am. Removes the block from the peace already in immeasurable, and I use that word, feeling, that feeling in me already. I'm just disconnected from it. I can't describe how fortunate it works for all of my expressions of addictions, and I never knew life could be this good. Aloha.